time it is!
Thank you for checking out the C Squared Hour. As always, I'm your host, Chris, coming to you on the week of Christmas. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. So, I guess you could say this is my Christmas special, but as tends to be the theme of the show, I'm going to be doing absolutely no talking about Christmas. Now, before I get started, of course, I have to let you know what I'm drinking. And quite honestly, my demo, or my friends that actually listen to this, are a lot of Northwest hockey guys. So once again, I was recommended to drink Kokanee. I don't know what else I could say about it that I haven't, but you know, I enjoy it quite a bit, and it's one of my main go-tos. So now, if you happen to notice something different about this episode, it was recommended that since some of my anger comes out in a very irrational way, we'll say, that I should try doing something to calm me down. So in the background, I have been burning in my studio a lavender candle. So maybe, just maybe, this will, maybe calm me down, and, maybe I won't get so angry. But again, drinking Kokanee with a lavender candle in the background. Now, I know all of my listeners are wondering where the other Chris is. So it's actually an interesting story. Him being the capitalist that he is, as soon as the AP called the election for Biden, he actually flew down to the Mexico border. And what he's doing is, since he's almost positive that the wall isn't even going to be, close to completed. Obviously, it would seem that construction is going to halt because of the election. So what he wants to do is buy up a lot of those building materials at a discounted price. So because the election didn't go Trump's way, it doesn't seem like the wall, or maybe it did, maybe he still, but since it looks like Biden will be our president coming up, the wall will not be completed. So he's down there trying to scrounge together a buck or two. And, hard to blame him for that. Anyway, if you are wondering where he is, that's where he is, down there buying up building supplies from the Mexico border. All right, there's a lot of stuff I could go into here, but I started with a new segment last time, and we'll see how it works out. We'll see, how long I can go with it, but it's what I call the new segment is the way too late analysis. I take things that happened, stories, annoyances I had, with the public persona, mostly stuff that I see on TV that I feel needs an analysis, but I wasn't doing this at the time. So I'm going to be giving my analysis anywhere from 5 years to 2 months late, and you're just going to have to stick with me on that. So for this week's way too late analysis, I wanted to go into the Muppets reboot that ABC tried to do, and there's a whole outrage over it, and there was a big thing. And what had happened was they wrote into the script that Kermit and Miss Piggy were no longer together, and Kermit actually was with a skinnier, younger pig. God, that seems weird to say. But he actually found someone younger, and they weren't together, and everyone was up, and how could you do this, to have Kermit leave for a younger, skinnier, And all the feminist groups were upset, and anyone who pretended to be left or anyone who's trying to nail a feminist was all up in arms. And what I say is good. Fucking good. If you watch any of the Muppets from the past, Miss Piggy treated Kermit like shit. Like shit. She rode his coattails to fame and then pretended like she was the famous one. She pretended like she was the one everyone went to see. Hey, guess what, hon? If you weren't there, the Muppets would still be a thing. But no, she treated Kermit like shit. She talked down to him. She watch the Muppet movie. She thinks something's going to go her way. She leaves. That doesn't go her way. She comes right back. And we're just supposed to fucking forget. Like, Kermit's just supposed to fucking take her back and all this shit. She treated him like shit. And he deserved better than that. He was the star of the Muppets. He made Jim Henson who he is. And Miss Piggy just rode his coattails and treated him like shit while she was doing it. Good. The only thing I find offensive about ABC's reboot, I think it was ABC's reboot of the Muppets was the fact it took 20 years for them to do it. He should have left that fucking bitch at a slaughterhouse 20 years ago. I always thought, even as a kid watching, who does this bitch think she is? Kermit's the star, but we have to pretend that you're just as good. And now all of a sudden that he fucking realized it on the reboot, he realized he was getting treated like dog shit. He was all of a sudden, I say good. Oh, fuck it. You know what? Little Miss Piggy. It sounds like a fat joke. Kick rocks. You had a better run than you deserve. All right? You acted like you were the fucking talent. You never were. Hell, you were third behind Fozzie, for fuck's sakes. You know what? I'll even go one further. At least fucking Animal had a fucking band. He had a talent. He could drum. What the fuck could you do? Nope, but Kermit shouldn't have left her for a prettier. Yeah, he fucking should. He earned it. Maybe not younger, prettier, but he deserved something better. He deserved not to get treated like garbage. So much for that lavender candle. But if you're looking for my way too late analysis, that is my analysis on the Muppets reboot from probably 6 years ago. I don't fucking know. I should have looked into it a little bit further. I've just been so excited about this new $600 we're getting for the stimulus. Yes, we are getting another $600 check. Everyone's all excited for it, except most people aren't excited because it's not enough and it should have been more. And the governor needs to give something. You know what they could do is they could start charging us fucking less. That'd be a start. Why don't you say, hey, while this is going on, we suspend income taxes. That way, you don't have to get these bullshit checks that are going to make you feel like an asshole, but are going to get, dumbass lemmings to stick along with the lines. But, yeah, suspend income taxes and say, hey, everything you make this year, federally, of course, you get to keep. And, you don't have to worry about these stimuluses, but of course, dummy needs to see something in the hand. So, the $600. Whew. I am going to buy... I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with it. Probably nothing. I'm going to put it in my bank account, forget it's there. Not forget it's there. Not like I'm rich or anything, but just... it's going to get spent the way everything else fucking gets spent. I guess the way that's supposed to happen, but... $600. Well, I need to ask your opinion, because I feel a little bad about this, and I know at least 2 of my listeners are very close to this thing I'm about to explain. And I was at a residence on Sunday, and one of those citizen Trump parades happened where everyone drives by with their their flags, and it's Washington, so there's Trump, there's Culp, there's whatever, don't tread on me, don't, all that sort of stuff. And I taught a 3-year-old to say, quote, "Go home, weirdos," to every car that had a flag on it. And I'm not sure if I should feel bad or good about that, but here's the reason why. And I'm not one of these guys saying, "Oh, you lost, do whatever the fuck you want," all right? Do whatever the fuck you want. Here's the point what I want to make, and this has kind of been a recurring theme, and we all know I like to beat a dead horse, so with this parade of flags and signs, who are you targeting? What the fuck are you trying to do with this? Answer me that. We're going to show we're not going home. Okay, but you know what you're actually doing? Here's what this is doing. It's annoying people. It's all it's fucking doing. You are blocking up traffic. So anybody you're trying to convince that you're not going to go home is just sitting behind you thinking you're a bigger douchebag than they already thought you were. Because that's how you think. And anyone on the moderate side who is on your side is going to be thinking, Jesus fucking Christ, this is who I have to hitch my wagon to. Like, there's better ways to do it. I mean, you get mad at these Black Lives Matter protests for, blocking up the streets and, doing all the... You're doing the same fucking thing. You're just doing it from a fucking Chevy Silverado. What's the fucking difference? So, yeah, as a joke, I'm telling a 3-year-old to tell them, go home, you weirdos. But what I'm really saying is, this is not going to solve the problem you're trying to solve. It's not like we're going to see a bunch of 85 GMC Sierras driving down the road with a bunch of flags like, you know what? There was voter fraud. If you want to change anything, you're not going to do it that way. If they were just honest with themselves, if they just said, look, here's what we want to do. We want to show everyone that we voted for Trump and we're a little pissed that they lost. So we're going to inconvenience everyone on their drive home. All right, that's fine with me, but don't sit there, don't tell me you were out there doing it to shine a light on the voter fraud. First of all, we're in Washington State. You know how much voter fraud it would take for a Republican presidential nominee to get their vote washed out up here? Literally, you would have to light, I would say, 80% of the ballots. That wouldn't even fucking do it. Quite honestly, if you're talking about voter suppression and voter fraud and you're in Washington State, shut your fucking mouth. Just shut it. I don't care how much they suppressed my vote or your vote. Really, they probably could have doubled all our votes. They could accidentally count our votes twice. Or maybe not our votes. Anyone who didn't vote blue, they can count the votes twice and we'd still probably lose. I say we because I didn't vote blue. So don't throw me in with all these people. Just don't throw me in with all these people. Don't throw me in with the flag parade people, all right? So, mother sues police for burning down her house. See, what I do, and I've mentioned this before, but I have Court TV on in the background, and here's why. Because I go off on these rants, I get lost on these things, and I look over and I see, honestly, they have the best banners on the bottom. Mother sues police for burning down the house. Fucking hilarious banner if you have no context for it. So, look, if you're going to sit there and piss and whine and moan about voter fraud, do it somewhere where it could actually fucking mean something. If you just want to annoy everybody, if you just want to inconvenience people to show them that, hey, I didn't like the way this election turned out, by all means, do your little flag drive and whatever you want to do. But if you're trying to, change something, if you're trying to make, the Honda Civic behind you say, I've been behind this truck with a flag for, who knows, 6 blocks? And now I'm starting to think maybe something was up. It's not gonna fucking happen, all right? So just say what you want. Say what you really want to do. I want to moderately annoy people. That's it. Because the election didn't go my way. I want to moderately annoy people because the election didn't go my way. So that was my big conclusion I came to this weekend, sitting there hungover, staring out a fucking window. Sad news. I think it was yesterday. It was official. Kevin Green, former, he's either linebacker or DN, but anyway, was with the Rams, Steelers, most famous for Steelers and Panthers, I think, but he's on the 49ers as well. Passed away at age 58. It's one of those things right now when you see a person die, I won't say quote unquote too young, who knows what was going on with him, but you see someone die at 58, there's two things you're thinking right now in this day and age. You're thinking COVID, and if not, that's not it, had something to do with CTE. So I hope those aren't the cases, or Christ, I do hope, I don't know, do I hope that those are the cases, or I hope it's not, or stuff. I don't know what the fuck to think about it, but so Kevin Green. Now, the one thing that is really annoying me is they are leaving out the most important part of his career. Not only was he a famous guy who went into professional wrestling while still being famous, like he wrestled during summers when the NFL wasn't in. Like he was actually doing that shit. He would show up to WCW events and then say, oh, well, my contract's up because training camp's starting. So he was really the first cross. Even before fucking Rodman and Karl Malone tried to jump in on it, he was actually doing it. He teamed up. The biggest accomplishment, I believe, in his entire career, and this includes, I believe, at least one Super Bowl, biggest accomplishment is he helped Ric Flair defeat Team NWO at Slamboree. And this is at the time when the NWO was hurting anybody that went against them and was, cutting the rules against them. And he got betrayed by the guy he originally went in. I forget who it is, but a former Bears NFL player. He got betrayed by him, and he still stuck around, and he helped Ric Flair, I believe with Jeff Jarrett. Could be wrong on that. But he helped Ric Flair defeat the NWO. If that alone could define anyone's career. And the fact that this guy was an all-pro NFLer, and I believe a Super Bowl champion, and a coach for a while, the WCW thing seems to be getting swept under the rug, and that's bothersome to me. But yeah, you look at Dead at 58, and first thing you think about, obviously, well, the first thing most people are going to think is COVID. First thing I think is some sort of CTE accident. So I don't know if I hope it's one of those things, or I hope it isn't one of those things, or I don't know. But anyway, Kevin Green, 58. That's tough. All right, speaking of football, they announced the, I don't know how to segue into that to, get back. And you know what? Maybe the lavender candle did help. There's a lot going on. And people have asked me to describe this quite a bit, and I've talked to a couple different people who finally, to sum up my show. Oh, and I'm officially on Facebook now too, so keep it there. But what I describe what we're doing here is basically, I said it last week, but back of the dive bar conversation. So there's that weird guy in the back. Might not be weird, he might be, but he's there a lot, and the bartenders let him go, but they don't make eye contact with him. That guy. And you get the right level drunk and you start talking to that guy, and this is what comes out. Everything you're seeing right now. I'm sorry, everything you're hearing right now. I am back of the dive bar guy with a little bit of self-awareness. I lock myself in a room and talk in the microphone rather than sit in the back of the bar and wait for one person to make eye contact with me. So here's a little back of the bar talk. And this is a god-awful segue. And I don't think the lavender candle's helping. Anywho, the college football rankings were announced. And Notre Dame is in again. When are we done sucking Notre Dame's dick? I mean, yeah, you have the whole Catholic thing, but since the church got spotlighted, are we still treating it, like it's a bigger thing? And you look at Notre Dame's record this year, their only real win was against North Carolina. Okay, North Carolina, the school that gives away fake degrees, that's your only win? And it is a weird year. But you had Texas A&M who was there. You had Oklahoma who had a bitch. You had Cincinnati who had a bitch. But Notre Dame, again, they throw in Ohio State who probably doesn't deserve to be in there anywhere. But at least Ohio State has done something in the last 20 fucking years. I mean, Notre Dame has run through a bunch of high-profile coaches before they stuck on one. But really, Notre Dame hasn't been Notre Dame since, Christ, I don't know. I mean, would you say, was it Brady Quinn? Who's already out of the fucking NFL and into the booth? No, there was a couple others. But anyway, when are we done with that? We're not going to have a new Rudy. Hell, the NCAA regulations wouldn't allow it. So can we stop with the whole fucking Notre Dame? And like I said, at least Ohio State has done something in the last 20 fucking years. And you have, I don't know, I was way more wound up about this when I first saw it. And I'm still annoyed by it, but it's just like fucking kicking water uphill. It's like, what do you say? College football committee. Notre Dame doesn't deserve there. Ohio State barely deserves to be there. Alright, I say that. Falls on deaf ears. Not trying to be insensitive to deaf people. But it falls on deaf ears. And then we have to sit there and I don't know, and I'd be willing, but I haven't looked at it. And I don't think I have to worry about it till I record the next episode. But what I will be looking at is I want to see the spread of the game. And I don't do this a lot, but I will give my betting prediction. Okay, here's my prediction. If Notre Dame is the favorite or is getting less than 10, you don't take them. If they're getting more than 10, you take Notre Dame. Give that right now. Right, so I go into this, and it's you watch Sports Center, you watch any sort of sports thing, you hear the same goddamn argument. What I didn't hear, though, now, USC lost the title game against Oregon for the Pac-12 championship. So what do they announce the next day? We're not going to go to the bowl game. Well, fuck you. So really, you're taking your ball and you're going home. That's really what it fucking boils down to, right? Right? You just basically said, we don't, since we're not going to play for a real championship, then we're not going to play at all. Well, fuck you. I'm so fucking tired of USC. USC, who last time they were national champion was illegal. Haven't done anything since then. I've heard, the last real hire they had was a drunk. Well, of course, who am I to disparage that? Christ, you let Aunt Becky into your athletic program. You let her fucking pay her way into an athletic program. And you're going to sit there and pretend like, now here, you don't win a game, so since we're not playing for the real one, I'm going to take my ball and go home. Well, fuck you. Why don't you go tell Felicity Huffman and fucking Aunt Becky to pony up another fake donation so you can make up what you would have made for the bowl game. But here's the biggest issue with that. And this isn't being said. And I hope anyone who hears this takes this to heart and really takes them to task for this. You know who USC was slated to play in their bowl game since they lost that one? Army. They were set to play the Academy. I don't know. I know it's Air Force Academy. I know it's Naval Academy. And just, I don't know, Army Academy just sounds fucking stupid. But they were set to play Army. So not only are they whiners, they screwed over Army from getting into a bowl game. I mean, first of all, let's run down the list, right? USC football. Obviously, they cheated with Leinart, Bush, what have you. The athletic department's crooked because, Aunt Becky's kids are rowing now. And now you're fucking communist. Now you're a goddamn fucking commie. You're gonna screw over our Armed Forces Academy because you didn't like that you lost the fucking game. And I know you blame me, it's COVID, we don't know what's going on. Bullshit. What you did is you told the Army, fuck you. If we can't play in the game we want to play in, you don't get to play in an extra game. So these fucking guys that are going to go over and still are getting shot at for God knows what reason. I mean, freedom or whatever the fuck you talk about. Anyway, there's still shit going on over there that shouldn't be going on. We're going to send them off to deal with that. But first, you can't play in a fucking bowl game because these jagoffs in Southern California are sad and are blaming COVID now, but really are just complaining because they're not getting the right bowl game. If you were that concerned about it, you wouldn't have fucking played Oregon. You wouldn't have done all this other shit. But you weren't concerned about it until you didn't get the bowl game you wanted. And because you didn't get the bowl game you wanted, you decided to take your ball and go home. And because of that, Army gets fucked over. A lot of people complain about, Washington, Oregon, and California being a socialist hellscape or what have you. But Christ, USC, is really trying to prove it. Not only are we going to not play in a bowl game, we're going to make sure that one of the branches of the Armed Forces Academies doesn't get in a bowl game either. Now, 100% transparency. I know there's been talk about Army being a replacement for a lot of bowls, and I don't know what's come of that. I don't know if they're even going to play because of the COVID thing. I don't know. I don't know what's going to... All I know is when I wrote this down on my... Not syllabus, my rundown, when I wrote this on my show prep, USC lost, weren't going to go play. And really, that's all I've heard, and that's all I decided to look into it. Again, it sits well with, every theme I've tried to push down your faces. And I'm done with the logo things. I'm done with it. So everything I've tried to push down your head is I have strong opinions with minimal research. And this is back of the dive bar talk, where I am going to yell, piss, and moan. basically with just the information that helps me feel better about my anger than, actually looking into shit. It's funny. It's like that whole $600 thing. How could the bill be for, $600? Dummy. The $600 was included in the spending bill to keep the government from shutting down, you dumbass. May not have been to keep the government from shutting down, but it was the entire spending bill. It wasn't just the free COVID money bill. There was a lot of other shit. So they're like, oh, and all this aid is going there. Yeah, guess what? That aid was already going there. We just had to fucking sign on the line again. It's already what we were fucking paying. It just happened to be included with this. I mean, yeah, I don't think we should be paying other fucking countries billions of dollars unless they're giving us some shit, but what I would like to pride myself on, and I hope this comes across very well. Well, that's not true. But while I only use opinions that further my agenda to factor into my opinion, I know that I do that. I know I am just telling you, I'm trying not to say square heads anymore. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to let that grow organically. Alright? I'm trying. Jim Rome had the clones, Opie and Anthony had the pest, but that came on their own. I gave you the fucking name. I did half the work for you. Now you guys take the ball and run with it. So, what I like to pride myself on is I know I cherry pick the information and make up my opinion to what I think is the most entertaining opinion. Or at least the least obvious opinion. And maybe it is fucking obvious. I don't know, but at least I know I do that. Alright? You can look through all these news sources, quote unquote, and realize that not only are they just cherry picking what they want to make their narrative look good. Whew. Render again. Not only are they doing that, they're convincing all the other people that they've done full research. So, what I'm going to tell you, my listeners, whatever nickname you want to give yourselves, I know that I would say a quarter of what I say might either be old information by the time I say it, or might have already been resolved by the time I say it, or might be only half the story. I know it. What I'm going to do, and what I'm going to continue to do, is spout it off like it's the gospel. Hope to convince some of you fuckers, and see where it goes from there. Alright? Now, if you want to hear any sort of different ideas, or different thoughts, or different things, you're gonna have to reach out to me. You're gonna have to get involved with this, people. I gave you the email, I gave you the Twitter, gave you the Instagram, and now I even started something on fucking Facebook, which I'm not even sure if I did it right. I'm fucking god-awful at all the social media stuff. But I did all of that for you, so get fucking involved. I'm tired of the same person every 2 weeks telling me I need to drink kokanee again. Not that I don't love his support, not that I don't appreciate it, but it's just, there's plenty of local places that could use the patronage, right? Anyway, that could use the business. So, give me some of those. Give me some of your favorites. Alright, so where did I leave off? I went off. See? Back at the bar. You talk to, you let the guy talk for 5 minutes, it turns into 4 hours, and next thing you know, your kids get taken away. So, one last thing I wanted to go into, and this might end up being shorter than an hour, but fuck you guys, I know. If you want exactly an hour every time, in the words of Ray Liotta, fuck you, pay me. So the Canelo Alvarez fight was this weekend. They Canelo versus which Smith was it? Callum Smith. He fought the other Smith before, Liam, I believe it was, and knocked Liam out. So fighting Callum Smith, and I could sit here and I could talk about the fight, and I could tell you, I can go into my analysis, which was mirrored by the gentleman sitting next to me watching the whole fight. I could tell you that, which I will get into. The biggest takeaway I had from that fight is Brian Kenny is a homer douche. Not homo, a homer. DAZN, this network, this streaming network who's, trying to put fights on that Canelo Alvarez is signed to. Canelo's probably, minus Anthony Joshua, or could be stateside, the biggest name on that network, on that billing, on that promotion. He spent the entire 12 fucking rounds literally trying to shove Canelo Alvarez's dick in his ass. He spent the entire time talking Canelo up like he's the fucking second coming of Roberto Duran. Well, guess what? He isn't. And I should have seen this coming before, because you watch, I don't know if he's still on there or if he's not or whatever, but when he went to the MLB network, and when he's with the MLB network, he's one of those douchebag fucking analytics sabermetrics guy. He's one of those guys. And now here's where I'm going with this. These are the guys that say, oh, you have a pitcher pitch the first inning, and then you bring in another pitcher, and you put 6 pitchers. I can sports nerd it up for you. I won't this time unless you ask me to. But what he is trying to... He's a fucking phony. That's what it comes down to. He's a fucking phony. What will keep me on the MLB network? And I don't know if he's still there or not, but what's going to keep me? I know. I'll make sure I'm the analytic guy. I'm the guy that says this is the best lineup, and I'm gonna argue with anyone who says it isn't. So obviously, he just wants to make sure his job is safe. Commentary takes a back seat. Anything personal he feels about the fights or anything like that takes a back seat. All he wants to do is make sure his job is safe. And the way his job is safe in boxing is if DAZN survives. And the only way DAZN survives, and luckily this happened for him last week, you have your biggest names win handily. Anthony Joshua did. Granted, not as well as he should have. But then you needed Canelo Alvarez to win handily. And if you ask Brian Kenny, he fucking did. If you watched it, it was worst beatdown you'd ever fucking see in a boxing ring. And guess what? Homering the guy who's on your network isn't going to save your network. You know what's going to save your fucking network? Is to hitch your wagon to someone other than Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya. That's going to save your network, because right now there's really only, I'd say, 4 fighters on those cards that anyone really wants to see, and this is only, boxing fans want to see Ryan Garcia, but the general public doesn't know who the fuck that guy is, but he's a fun fighter. You have Anthony Joshua, who gets on SportsCenter. You have Alvarez, who gets on SportsCenter. I don't know if Triple G is still that big of a number, but beyond that, who are you really trying to push? You don't have the fighters for a whole fucking network. And, this whole bullshit Floyd Mayweather-Logan Paul fight, that's not going to be there, because the money team has a whole thing with PBC or Al Heyman. So wherever that goes, it's going to be in their pocket. You're not getting that. But saving your job sucking that Mexican ginger's dick is not going to save that network. right? And to think journalistic integrity, I don't know if that fucking applies to commentary or what have you, but the fact that you could sit there as a quote-unquote boxing expert and spend the whole fight saying Canelo Alvarez is the best fighter we've ever seen, or Callum Smith has no business being in the ring with this guy, and he is a once in a generation. The fuck he is. Canelo, great fighter. I'll give him that. Once in a generation, nah. I mean, he's not even the best Mexican fighter in the last decade, I would say. But we're looking into that. So what really fucking annoyed me about that is not necessarily the fact that he was a big-ass homer, that he was doing everything he fucking could to make sure that everyone knew how great Canelo Alvarez was, because that's the guy who's going to be signing his fucking checks, right? That was the problem. The problem is how fucking terrible his analysis of the fight was. Now, I'll give him this. It was much like, I don't know how much I've talked about it, but the Spence fight. Spence Garcia fight. Where, yeah, Alvarez, he did win handily. He did. He, for the most part, did kind of whatever. I would say 80% of the fight. I mean, 80% of each round. Yeah. Did basically what he wanted to do. I will give him that, alright? But Callum Smith never looked overmatched. He never looked like he didn't belong. He didn't look like they fucking just pulled him off the fucking bus station. Like they didn't throw him in like Luann Platter against Frida Foreman. It didn't look like that. No, it looked like a good fight with one of the fighters better than the other one. That's what it looked like. But for you to sit there and sell, and I could hear the color guys, they tried. I mean, Chris Mannix is kind of on the same boat. Again, if you don't have the zone, which you probably won't, he's kind of on the same. Actually, he wasn't. His scoring was relatively fair. I digress. When you take that job, trying to figure out how to say this without A, insulting someone's intelligence, and B, being really annoying. But if you're going to take the job as a so-called expert when you do commentary, don't be so transparent. We could tell, and even my buddy who's not as big of a boxing fan as I am, or I take that back, he might be as big of a boxing fan as I am now, but doesn't understand the history, doesn't understand as much. I'm teaching him, folks. Don't jump down my throat. He even noticed that the way Brian Kenny talked about Canelo Alvarez during this fight, it's like, why would Callum Smith even think he could enter the ring with this guy? I don't know, because he won at least one round. He won 2 rounds on my car. Because he went the whole way. He didn't get fucking knocked out. It had to go to the fucking cards. And Callum Smith never looked like he was in real danger. You know, yeah, he looked like he was getting his ass kicked. But I never thought he was going to get knocked out. Never thought that. And if you look at 30 seconds in every round, what you notice is Callum Smith, anytime, because he was fucking, probably had 10-inch reach on him. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I wouldn't know what 10 inches is unless I saw it 4 times. But probably had a 10-inch reach on him. And anytime he was jabbing constantly, anytime 2-3 jabs at a time, and Alvarez couldn't get inside the arm's reach of Callum Smith. I don't want to make you feel like you're outsiders, you non-boxing people. But anytime he couldn't get inside that, he was winning the exchanges. And I would be Again, I didn't write down all the fucking notes about it. But I would say at least 9 rounds, there was an exchange like that where Smith looked like that's how he was trying to fight it. And I think, I'm not sure if it was a conditioning problem. I'm not sure if it was a nervousness problem because he did get caught early. And before I go any further, none of my talk here is to disparage Canelo Alvarez. That has nothing to do with it, all right? He is a great fighter. I think he's a little overrated. Just a teeny bit. But this has nothing to do with him. This has to do with how the fucking coverage went that night. And how fucking just transparent it was. Callum Smith, I don't know if he stopped because he got caught pretty heavily early, which is a very good possibility. Because he did get caught quite a bit. And Alvarez does have a punch, and I don't know if that's why he was trying so hard to be defensive, but if you watch him if he was throwing 2-3 jabs at a time and not letting Alvarez get in without getting touched, he was winning those exchanges. I mean, there was at least one time I remember, I think it was about the fifth round, where Brian Kennedy's, oh yeah, he's just clearly outmatched after that exchange. No, he fucking wasn't. No, he wasn't. Him and Alvarez traded, and he stepped straight back because he's the fucking taller guy. Look, alright, I know you lost your HBO gig because HBO got rid of boxing because of what happened with Golden Boy, how they basically, Golden Boy is Oscar De La Hoya's promotion company. I know you're upset with that, and so the only place you have, and you fucking ditched ESPN, which I don't care if you ditch ESPN for MLB Network and that means you have to go work for HBO. Nothing wrong with that. Wait, is that what happened? Where the fuck did Jim Lamp? That's a good question. Where the fuck is Jim Lampley? Yeah, you know what? I just fucked up. Jim Lampley was the HBO guy. I apologize for the last, I would say 26 seconds. But look, that's a good question. Was Jim Lampley originally the DAZN guy? I don't fucking know. But here's the thing. Because you have nowhere to go, I mean, you still have Fox, but, and I don't know what's going on with you and Fox and boxing, but look, just because you're on a network and just because they have hitched their wagon to one guy doesn't mean you have to change how you commentate. Doesn't mean you have to change how the fuck you do your goddamn job because that's your fucking meal ticket. I'm sorry, I just finished this is beer number 5 I just threw down, so it's probably a good time to wrap this up. But here's my big analysis from the fight. Alvarez looked good. I think Callum Smith could have won if he just constantly jabbed, but who knows if getting caught stopped him from doing that. Who knows if condition stopped him from doing that. Who knows, but Canelo looked good, but saying that Canelo handled him easily or didn't belong in the same ring together or whatever it was just a fucking abortion of a commentary. And for someone who's been around it for so fucking long, like Brian Kenny, just because the people who are signing your check want that fucking guy to win, doesn't mean you have to toe the party line that much. Christ, I'll look at full circle back to Trump thing. Here we go. You could be a Republican without having to follow the MAGA line, right? You could be a Trump supporter without having to follow the everyone's out to get me line or all this, every Mexican's a racist or whatever people think that the Trump line is. If you're an analysis for DAZN, you don't have to follow the line that says, hey, look, guess what? Every fighter that we're promoting, every fighter that we want to win is the best fighter of all fucking time. And anyone who says anything different is a fucking idiot who's never seen anything. So, see, luckily I went on this whole this dumbass rant was at the end when everyone's done listening anyway. So, all right, so let's get back to it. We're going to wrap this up here because obviously this is going off the rails a little bit. Just want to wrap up. So Brian Kenny needs to retire. In my opinion, UFC is cunts. Notre Dame sucks. Trump people, stop with the parades. It's not helping your cause. Not helping your cause. If you just want to annoy people, you're doing it. All right. Granted, Trump was the ultimate troll. If you're on a second election trying to just troll, you're doing a great job. Rest in peace, Kevin Green. Well, shit, I could say that for next week. All right. So before I go, I just want to let everyone know that I have started a Facebook page for this show. Look up C Squared Hour. People who are on Facebook who like it, please share it around. Tell your friends, your enemies, really tell anybody. Man's got to eat, Julian. But tell anybody, and we'll go from there. So again, reach out to me, C Squared Hour, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Gmail. I'm there. Give me your beer recommendations. Give me your topic recommendations. Give me your whatever you want. And before I wrap up, I would be remiss if I said, poker player murder case. Nice. I would be remiss if I didn't throw the offer out there. Randy, offer's still there, bud. I gave you the offer in person Saturday. Apparently you don't mind looking like a pussy in front of me. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep throwing the offer out there and see if enough of these squareheads, see you managed to do it without pausing, if enough of the people who listen are able to pressure you into it. I'm a big fan of peer pressure. If they're able to pressure you into it, let's make this fucking thing happen, all right? All right. I thank everyone for listening. Hope everyone has a Merry Christmas. Again, hit me up on social media. Tell everyone about it. Tell them everything that you feel. And if there is nothing else, Merry Christmas, and I will see you all next week.